responsible, the writer-director of Andover, Scott Perlman. Bring him down here. We've got far too many people for this Q&A, so I'm going to let him do some of the introductions. Yeah, let's do it. Let's bring everybody up.
Okay, so since I see you right here, Joel Michaely, come on up. Bai Ling.
Joel Michaely, Bai Ling.
Jonathan Silverman.
Jonathan Silverman is here. Come on down.
Beth Grant, you made it.
The great Beth Grant, come on down. Where's Scout Taylor-Compton? Where are you?
Dwayne, you want to come on down? Shannon, why don't you come down too, please? Shannon Makhanian.
Where's our DP, Master DP? You're not hiding from me. Where are you? Come down here. There he is.
Thomas Jones.
All right.
Jonathan Lipnicki, just say what hi. I think we would acknowledge your presence.
Congratulations. Okay, well, first of all, let's give another hand for this great film. Absolutely. Okay, well, I'll try to get to your questions, and then I'll try to get to some of these people here on the panel. We'll start with Scott. Now, I think your film works wonderfully, between the drama and the comedy and the romance, without ever going kind of in just one direction. So I was just kind of curious, how did you sort of keep everything from give everything a good mix and keep everything from just going one note?
Well, I've always liked movies that were bittersweet and had different levels. I don't like movies that are just one thing or another. And the one movie that always really stuck with me was the ending of Almost Famous, even though my brother makes fun of me for loving that movie so much. But the ending, it's no one got exactly what they wanted, but they each got what they needed. And I thought there was something really nice about that. So I wanted to make something that reflects life, but in a much more heightened, absurd way. Like there's good times, there's bad times. When bad things happen, you kind of have to laugh through them. Right. And so I wanted to make something that sort of reflected that.
Very cool, very cool. And Scout, who I personally am a huge fan of, not only obviously listen, some of your past genre work, of course, I'm a huge movie geek, so the Halloween series.
Dude, thanks so much.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. I want to make sure I get that correct. Yes, and of course 247 Degrees and Ghost House. But in this, you're playing something completely different, which was really great, So I was just curious, originally she kind of helps, Jonathan Silverman's character, out of respect, then admiration, then compassion, then kind of, even for past guilt, and I was just curious, how did you juggle kind of all of those emotions and still stick with a single, character work?
I kind of stuck with who she was in general and just put her in those sort of situations and how she would deal with it as her character. And also having an amazing actor work inside of me helped. So yeah.
Very cool. Now, since you guys are right here next to me, okay, so all the friends, what I was curious about, Bai Ling, Joel, and yeah, I was curious, we only got to see a slight bit of you guys when you had Dawn for yourselves, and we got to see, what was that training like? Like, what do you think, what we didn't see? What was your training that led you to that one moment that he had with her? From all of you guys.
You're so good.
I kept wanting Scott to leave her with me so she'd sound like a ballet girl from the 80s like me. Like a big gay little girl or something. But alas, that didn't happen. But it was very fun, and it was great to work with Johnny because he's the best. And Scott.
Now Beth, listen, Beth is a wealth of cinema, and you see Beth, you see Beth's face, she's been in every movie that I ever thought was cool, like No Country for Old Men, Band of Robbers, it's insane stuff. So, what I was curious about from you was, what goes into your selection when you're looking at a script? What grabs you, and more importantly, what grabbed you about Andover?
Well, it was so demented. I just really got excited because a true story. When my father passed away, I wanted to keep him. And I mean that. I went a little nuts, I guess, but I just wanted to take him home with me and put him in my office. And when they started talking about cloning, I thought I would clone him in a minute if I could. And y'all can laugh. I mean, I have a sense of humor about this. I don't say I want to keep him. I have let it be for 30-something years. But really, I do find this cloning thing is the most incredible new wave that we're on, and it's so scary, and it's also exhilarating. I mean, Streisand, since she made the movie, has now cloned her dog, so it is actually really happening. She made 2 of it. And so, I'm so interested in it, and I did love, I mean, it's awful and terrible, but he keeps killing her to get her right, and we all identify with that, that desire. So I don't know, I did find it immensely wonderful, and I, too, am in love with this man. I've been in love with this man for so many years. We've known each other a long time. So reading this demented script, and then they said, Jonathan Silverman, I said, oh my God, where do I sign? How much do I have to pay?
Nice. Sorry, I skipped Nadia there. Now, Nadia, the music, the vocals, especially, were all by Nadia, and to me, yeah, absolutely. It definitely gives kind of it gives a vocalization to the kind of the love longing that Jonathan's character kind of feels. And so I was just curious if you could talk a little bit about the song's inception. I know Scott had some hand in that, and just what you were looking for.
Yeah, but the funny thing is that we recorded all the songs before I watched the movie.
Wow.
So then, when I saw them, I was like, oh, that's why we did that. It's like, to me, I kind of knew the story, but it didn't make real sense up until I actually saw everything together, which was so fun. We had so much fun in the studio. I mean, we started with, when I met Scott, Julie, he started with, it was going to be one song. And then he was like, no, let's just do all the songs.
So what happened was I wanted to get that song, The Things You Do for Love, and it was super expensive. And
That means I'm cheap, right?
Exactly, as you all know.
I feel like a hooker now.
And I couldn't get the song, and so I was like, well, I just wrote that You Were Made for Me song. So I was like, well, that reflects what he's doing. It's kind of sweet and loving, but it's like literal to you. Is someone made for you or made for you? So I was like, oh, that kind of works. And then I was like, well, let's just keep doing that. And another movie that I loved was Magnolia and Harold and Maude, which have the same singer throughout the whole thing, and it adds a character. And so I thought it would be fun to do that.
I loved it.
Yeah.
We just shot such a video for the opening song, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we shot a video for it, and the songs are going to be available on iTunes on, I believe, Yeah, well, I can get you a CD.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is Shannon Makhanian. She did the casting, so everybody,
Okay, so sorry. Where are you here?
So football players make
Thomas,
pretty good
Thomas, I'm sorry.
actors.
Thomas, your scenes with Jennifer, with Dawn, are just romantic but heartbreaking. And what I was really curious about was if your character was kind of didn't really know. I mean, obviously you knew that it was kind of spontaneous, but you didn't know what the end result was going to be. Do you think if your character knew what the end result was going to be, he would have gone for it anyway?
I think so. I think the fact that they were high school sweethearts and they had this past, and I think in the beginning I said she's the one that got away. I think we can all relate to someone that got away. So I felt his pain, which was pretty crazy. But this film was incredible. I met Scott. He's a Chicago Bears fan. I played for the Bears for 3 years, and he saw me straight out of Compton, and he didn't know it was the same guy. And that's how he reached out to me, and we had a couple of mutual friends, and I sat down and had lunch with him at Bossa Nova, and there was like a animated video that I saw first before the script, and I was like, what the hell is this? But after I sat down and talked to him, I was like, wow, this is a really interesting concept, and it was really something that I was looking forward to do, because it's something totally different and something totally unexpected. I had a great time. Everyone was so incredible, working with Jennifer and John and Scott. I mean, and just the whole cast, and then me being a young actor. I think we shot this 2 years ago or something like that. At that time, like, this was pretty much like the second movie I had done, and it was just an incredible experience. I'm so grateful I had a chance to be a part of this film.
And now of course we get to Jonathan Silverman. Okay, so the thing I was most curious, I mean, obviously, anybody would want to ask, why you got the script, what was your initial reaction, because it's so far out there. But the other question I would ask would be, obviously Jennifer's, you're married to the beautiful Jennifer who plays Dawn in real life. So what I was curious about is, I mean, there's great chemistry between you two, obviously, but that doesn't always happen when people are married and stuff. So I was just curious, did that help? Was that a hindrance? How did that work for you guys? Because it looks great on screen, so.
Wouldn't it suck if we worked together as a romantic couple and somebody said, I don't buy it, I don't get it, I don't believe that they actually get along. But we do. We get along and we love working together, and we've done it a bunch. We're doing it right now. We just made a baby together, so that's our big we just cloned Barbra Streisand's dog, so we're pretty excited about that. I read this script about a year or so before I was doing this movie, and I don't say no to anything. If you look at my IMDb page, I'm a whore, and I'll just work wherever it is. But I loved this script, and I really wanted to do it, and the timing wasn't right. And I figured, well, whatever, I did get to do this cool movie. And then a year later, our producer, Julie, saw me and my wife at some Italian restaurant. And she said, there's this movie that we want you to do. And I said, God, it sounds so much like a movie I was asked to do about a year ago. And she said, yeah, it's the same movie. We never made it. And at the time, a lovely woman who I know and used to date was attached to play Dawn. And she since fell out, and that role became wide open. And I said, well, what about Finnegan? She's pretty good. Maybe she can do it. And I'm really grateful she did. And when we tackled the project together, we kind of just thought, it would be fun and kind of silly. And then as I was working on it day in and day out, I just was so invested in it. And because the woman I loved was playing the woman I love, and I lost her, it was really devastating, therapeutic, but interesting little journey. And what you saw on screen was pretty real. All I had to do was imagine losing her and burying her. It was a devastating and amazing little experience. So thank you again, Scott, for inviting me to come along and play.
Last question before I go to the audience. Next one, who of course shot the film. The scene that absolutely great job. The scene that I liked the most, or the visual that I liked the most, was the one where Jonathan's looking through the bases and stuff. I was just curious, was there something you did to that? Was it a little softer than the rest? Because it really just shot right out.
No, yeah, it was just we just see how it rehearse and plays and just capture it.
Right. What was the toughest thing for you on this shoot?
Well, I think they were very, very natural, and obviously it was their job. So when you see it without the camera, then it just visualize it. You just see it like that.
Was Scott a stern taskmaster?
Yeah. Scott has always been super nice and patient.
Oh no, he's yelling too much.
Okay, well, yeah, let's go to the audience. I don't want to hog it, so go ahead. Anybody have a question?
We did get kicked out.
Oh, they got kicked out? Okay, well, here's a short story.
We were shooting in the town of Monrovia, and
We're not allowed to say that.
Yeah, we cursed that name.
We were shooting in the Scottish play.
Yeah.
So we had a cutoff time in the library of noon, and I think it hit 12:01, and we still had one last shot to get. It was in the library, so we ended up having to do a second shot in another library and mix it together. So at 12:01, they were like, you guys, time to go. And we're like, well, just one more shot. And it escalated to us getting kicked out of the town. so that one shot cost us half a day, and then we went and shot somewhere else. But it all worked out and it made for a fun story. But at the time, that's the yelling at people face that I fell in on that day. I was not happy. I thought my movie broke. Bai, you want to say anything? Talk to us.
Yeah, we had met a few times, and I was expecting my role is big. But he cut some like really, really cool, like crazy things and teaching the student. I don't know why, but maybe that's why I think it's so much fun. He said you're teaching sexuality. But in the end, I said, where is it? Anyway, so I had so much fun working with Scott, all of us. He's so good. He's like so real. I talking to him. He's like, he's always in it. And always, when I read the script, I feel like, wow, this story is fascinating. You should get to China, this film. People are going to go crazy. Seriously. I think you have to take wherever we are, tell people, because the idea about love, about creating, you can't duplicate that. You can't make people the same. It's a very profound story. That's why I support.
Dwayne, you want to say anything?
The strong silent type. By the way, there are no small parts. You know, we didn't hear from you, Miss Casting Director there. You know, like, your cast is it's pretty ensemble, man, especially, and even Richard Prutnhouse, who I'm a huge fan of. I mean, he was a great casting choice, too. And Richard Kind, of course. And can you talk a little bit about your diverse cast here?
So good. I'm trying to, like, even, like, how to... Okay, some of them are my race. Actually, I feel like I've worked with, Scout multiple times. I've known since you were really young, like 15, 16, on Triple Dog. So, and I've put her in this, and she's amazing, and like family. And Bai, I've played in multiple films. Joel, I've known for. We don't talk about it. I watched this film. I was telling my daughter, I'm like, I need to download. I need to go on iTunes and get this music. This artist is amazing. So I'm so glad to meet you. Beth, I've been a fan of for years. You won't remember we met at a short festival, and my daughter went up to you because she thought you were amazing. So we are big fans, and I was like, when I read this, I'm like, I really want to get Grant, and I called Julie Buckle, and I'm like, I really want her. Richard Kind, I've worked with before, and love him. Richard Porthouse, a dear friend I worked with multiple times, and he's just so good. In that sleazy room where he's like trying to get a million for himself, I would love it. And I just met on this film. He's amazing. That was really sweet. You played it really good. And Johnny, you were like the first choice, and you were the first offer. And I remember that process. And things happened the way they were supposed to, because then a year later, it was like, hey, Jonathan Silverman, perfect. That's who we wanted in the first place. So thank you, because it made it so. I didn't think this was like, what's the word you used? Demented?
Demented.
I thought
in a good way.
It isn't, but I watched. I was like, this is so sweet. I'm so happy, and I believe in love. I want to go run around and throw flowers everywhere. I'm super happy. I love the bouncy house. Which, thank you, it worked. It was amazing. So.
I want to say that you're like a huge reason this movie even happened, because you're like the first person who really believed in it and validated it and wanted to help. And finding people like me, being a first-time director, it was having someone believe in you is really, really difficult to find that, and you were one of the first people to do that. And so it really happened because of you. And I remember there was one time when you had you said to somebody that you hadn't met someone like me since Reen Johnson. Ryan, yeah, right. And then you said, now you have to go be that guy. Yeah, so thank you for that.
So Ryan Johnson references because Shannon over here cast Brick, if you guys saw it.
Oh, man, that is awesome.
And now he's doing Star Wars.
If you haven't seen Brick, shame on you. Yes, do we have a question?
Yeah, it's for Dwayne. No, I'm kidding. I don't want to hear from you, Dwayne. Actually, so Scott, now that you've seen your film like unfold, and you've seen this great script really come to life, what do you feel with, you get to make choices of what you cut, what's in, everything. Bai Ling mentioned something. So what do you feel is like your biggest accomplishment in what you brought to the screen as part of the script? And then what do you feel is your biggest regret, something that you missed out of, you weren't able to tell as part of that story?
I'm trying not to have regrets. It just is what it is at this point, and it was all just a giant lesson, and I think I'm a different person now than I was when I started it. So I think that what I'm happiest about is I feel like I've grown as a person, learned a lot, and really this was a just giant spotlight on what I need to get better at as a human being more than even a filmmaker. So I think that this movie really was a reflection of where my life was when I started making it, and I'll be interested to see what happens next.
Thank you. I think that's for all of us. We're interested to see what's happening next. Any other questions? Yes, right there.
Were there certain personal events in your life or influences that led you to want to tell this story?
Yeah.
The origins of the story.
Yeah, like my dad, like Beth's dad died, and that's had a profound effect on me. And I always, I became a little bit obsessed with death, and then I guess obsessed with obsession, because that's a big part of what the story is. And then also, I noticed, I hope this doesn't end up streamed somewhere or something, but I have mother issues. And I found that the women that I've dated have been similar to her. And I'm like dating the same woman over and over again. And so I was like, having this story be a metaphor for that. Like it's, so the literal is happening rather than what my life experience has been.
Cool.
I'm curious, did it solve your problem now?
Like I said, I think that there's some things that I've gotten better at, some things I've figured out, and some things that I haven't. But I do want to say that the movie was in a film festival in Newcastle, England, and for years my mom had always dreamt about going to Paris, and me and my mom never really got along that well. And she ended up going to meet me at that festival, and we went to Paris, and it was the most incredible experience of my life, and I don't think I would have been able to do that a few years ago. And so this movie gave me that, which was pretty amazing.
Anybody else? Anything else? All right. Well, let's. Yes, go ahead.
I have one.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Right there.
I have a question for Jonathan.
For Jonathan.
It's based a little bit on your comments. I would have asked this question until your comment, because you seem to enter into this project so lightly. But if I read that character, I'd be like, oh my God, this guy's a murderer. I mean, it's very ethically gray what he's doing. And I'm just wondering if you approach that with caution and with a certain degree of reverence. Because I do think that you rode that edge very well. He's kind of a creepy guy, but the way you play him, he's still somewhat like him. So I'm just wondering how you approach it.
It's a good question. It was something that I was concerned about. It was something we all discussed, and I really wanted to make that first act of the movie as happy as possible and as pleasant as possible, and I was hoping I could get the audience to actually care for this guy and see his happiness. And ultimately, when his world ended, when he lost his wife, almost, jump on board with him and say, there's got to be a way to do it. I mean, he brings these animals to life. Why can't he somehow bring her to life? And yeah, and he goes mad, and he's a murderer. It's bizarre that, an audience is still kind of sort of rooting for him and hoping that he finds some happiness, and then his clone gets happy and falls in love. So it's an amazing way that Scott tied everything together like that. But yeah, it's an insane little movie. I don't know if people are gonna jump for joy loving it, but they're gonna be disturbed by it. They're gonna be talking about it. They're gonna be thinking about it. So that's a pretty cool thing to happen.
And then another thing, though, really early on, just when you were proposing to her and waking her up, you very early were like, I could do it wacky and funny, but I think it's best to do it grounded and real. And that really set the tone for it as well. So it wasn't this absurdist, wacky, crazy, over-the-top thing, and it became human because the story is absurd enough, the performances don't need to be, and the fact that you grounded it so much, it carried through everything and really set the tone.
Well, since you pay me all these compliments, I also need to say, not only did he write a beautiful script, but I don't think I've ever worked with a director who is this meticulous and spent this much time on every aspect of every moment of this movie. And he took not weeks and months, he took years to make what you guys just saw. And he just breathed every second of it, and I'm sure he's in major debt. And he's an inspiration to young filmmakers everywhere. And he said no to 1,000 other projects just to make this happen, and it's pretty impressive, and I can't wait to see if he can actually better fucking hire us.
He didn't get upset with me when I couldn't pronounce all of those medical terms. You were very, very patient with me, explaining what they meant, how they were spelled. Thank you.
Big words.
Speaking of being in debt, if you guys could Facebook if you like the movie, or Instagram if you like the movie, and tell everyone that it's here and that it's coming out on VOD and iTunes to help Scott get out of debt, that would be very nice. And also, if you guys all want, there is an after party right now at a bar called Tramp Stamp Granny's. I'm not making it up. It's for real. I picked it. It's on Cahuenga. You enter not on Cahuenga through the back alley, because as you do to Grandma. So Tramp Stamp Granny's.
Owns the place. That'll make them want to go.
Darren, Chris, and his fiance Mia own the bar, so it's a fun one.
Are you gonna be there?
Probably.
Awesome. You guys gotta come.
So yeah, you can go actually on Facebook. It's at Andover Movie. So if you like it, go on there. Let people know. And I just want to say to everybody here, I'm a big fan of the movie, so I was really honored to do the Q&A here. And congratulations to all of you. Great film. Thank you. Thanks for coming out, you guys.
Right here. One more for safety. Ellie.